father was an Indian chief, Canadian Indian chief. We had Poles, a couple of Poles who joined, a couple of Spaniards. There was Carlos Gil and Luis Alcantarilla, who was the chauffeur for the Argentine embassy, and he could get parts in because there was a restriction, you couldn't buy them. English people couldn't, or British people couldn't buy them from America because of the rate of the exchange, you know. You had to have dollars. Right, now Luis Alcantarilla, I can't even say it 3 times. He worked for the Spanish embassy, he was a driver. So any parts he wanted, he could get in through the Spanish embassy because it nothing to do with the pound sterling, you know. So he used to keep his bike, well, really modernised as the new stuff come out. He bought it and had it put on his bike.
Did he get any extra bits in on the...
No.
You can't tell us, it is 60 years.
No, he didn't push his luck, he's just...
No, fair enough.
Well, not that I know of anyway, he might have done, but he's a nice bloke. His wife's name is Joan, he used to say, I'm going to take my Joan chopping. I don't know what he's going to chop, but still. And there was... Who else was there? Some older people too, you know.
People in their 30s or something?
People in their 40s and 50s, yeah.
Wow.
And 50s.
Goodness.
Yeah, they were the old. Pop, I think, was the oldest one.
This is your dad?
Yeah.
And he...
I don't know why they called him Pop, because we never did as kids.
No?
It was always Dad.
Yeah. Maybe some wag in the club gave him the nickname. And
yeah, that's right, yeah.
Would he have been the one of the oldest member around at that stage?
He was at that stage to be the oldest member.
That's probably how he just got the name and it stuck.
Then we had a Swiss bloke join. He was older than anybody. He was older than the Alps.
Oh.
He used to ride this 1915, I think it was. No, 1917 Harley. And with all the camping gear, he used to go camping, and he was, I think, at 90 or something.
He was riding at 90?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he was 90, he was really old, you know.
Yeah.
And who else was there? Oh, there was all sorts.
All sorts. What about, I've heard the name Plug Hammond.
Oh yeah, well, there's bloke John Hammond, he was a good friend. They called him Plug because at one of the dinners and dances, they had a raffle and he won half a dozen plugs. So he got nicknamed Plug.
Plug, yeah.
That bloke Plug, you know.
Yeah. So that's, clubs are good at giving people nicknames.
They are, they're very good.
Pop, all of that.
They're good to belong to too, you know.
Yeah.
Because if it's somebody you don't like, you don't have to talk to him, you can talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, that's not very nice, but
it's
still.
not, is it? You don't want to be remembered like that, do you?
No,
but it is a fact.
No.
Yeah. And so, well, tell us about Pop then.
Well, old Pop, he was a motor mechanic. He didn't like being left behind on his Triumph, so he bought the Harley, and he used to ride everywhere. They went on a run, him and a few of the others, down to the West Country of England. And they stopped for a cup of tea and everything. Then they took off, and the old man took off in a hurry like he usually did. And he left his jiffy stand down, and he finished up a week later finished up having a week in Wells Hospital. Wells, that's a town in the west. And he went along and grazed his head along the curb. Fortunately, he was wearing a helmet. He put a groove along the side of his helmet. So from then on, I wore one. It was...
Oh, but gee, there was no helmet laws in those days?
No helmet laws. And but they were just sort of coming in then, and people started to buy them anyway for common sense, you know.
That's a good combination those days. No helmet laws, and you can go as fast as you like outside the metro area.
Yeah.
And he was a short man, I believe, and quite.
Yeah, he was a short man, and if anybody was around, he'd get him to kick the bike over, and he'd get on and ride it off. I can't quite do it, you know. When he's on his own, he'd get over, kick it up, and away to go. And more than once, our stepmother, she'd kicked it over for him, and she'd walk round the other side to get on, and he'd take off and leave her standing.
But did he come back and get her?
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah, I don't know whether he did it deliberately or what, but anyway, that's what happened, and he was well liked. And, as was Fred Moore's dad, he had a bike shop in Fulham, and sometimes we'd have meetings in there. They'd clear the bikes out and have a meeting in the workshop, you know.
You also had dances and things in the workshop, was that?
Not in the workshop, no. We'd go to one of the local pubs that had got a hall or something like that, you know, like a scout hall or something or other, and have dinners and dances, all dress up and have it all hula posh, you know.
Yeah. Well, I see even on your club nights and some of the runs, some of the fellow members are wearing suits and ties. It's
oh yeah, that's
slightly different attire to these days.
Yeah.
What about the club magazine, the Harlequin? How did that come about?
Well, I'm not sure who started it, but it was a little magazine about, can you see that? About yay big. And it was duplicated, and I was the editor at one stage for a few years. Fred Moore was editor another time, and it just passed around, you know, over the years. Somebody would do it. We had first treasurer was a bloke named Dennis St. John, and it's St. John, but he says it's St. John, rhymes with engine. And the second treasurer was a Bill Money. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about over the years, not weeks, you know.
Yeah.
Bill Money, he was the second one. And I was the first, I wasn't a editor of the Harlequin, I don't know if I was the first or not, but we used to go, everything come to me and I'd sort it out. Then we'd go up to Fred Moore's mum's place in Fulham, and his sister would type out the thing on the Gestetner paper, and out come the Gestetner, and we'd all, there's a few of us, you know, used to go there, and Mrs. Moore would put on a supper and whatnot, and we'd Gestetner these things. Do you know what a Gestetner is?
I just remember seeing them at school.
It's a duplicator, yeah, a rotary duplicator, and we'd do that, then collate it all together and staple them, and somebody would label them, and somebody else would post them off, you know.
Yeah. And
Fred Moore sent me a couple out here, and I found one, I passed it on to the archives, Paul Parslow, who's in the club now, still, and I passed them on to him.
As you did with some letters and photos?
Oh yeah, letters from the factory, or copies of letters from the factory.
Yeah.
Sent them all to the archives, so that, well, that's what this film's for, I suppose. Is,
for the archives?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I don't want to be an archive.
I got the copies of these letters, and there was over a dozen or so that you obviously wrote to the factory in the early days, how to get started, and where to get manuals and different things like that. So.
Probably some of them are full of silly things, but when you're trying to do something, you make mistakes.
Oh, well, who doesn't? But, I've never made a mistake.
Haven't you?
Yeah. No, well, yeah, but it's all yeah. What are you saying? I was a mistake. I would have thought by the time you got down the line, you would know how the children came along. But yeah, the letters going
I stopped once I found out what was causing it.
Yeah, letters dating from '48, before the club was started, when you were asking for information, right through to the early '50s. And you were the secretary.
Yeah, I was the first secretary. Sam was the first treasurer, my brother Sam. Not treasurer, chairman. I was secretary, and only did it for a year to get the thing going.
Yeah.
And after that, it sort of was easy. Blokes knew what they wanted to do and what they had to do, and it was done.
Yeah.
And the gymkhana every year and runs, I think it was about once a month or something. And
The different people would organise different runs?
well,
would they?
yeah. Well, I know the committee meeting, the committee would do all the organising. I mean, to get people to help.
Yeah.
Obviously, at a gymkhana, two blokes can't.
No.
They can organise it, but they can't do it all.